this great Spirit's Life plan basically talks about the life of paradise that we would have here as long as we followed those original instructions. If this paradise condition did exist, we are convinced this paradise condition will return after this great purification day. We had to go through a period of 4 days, which turned out to be 400 years, testing and temptation and tribulation, to see if we really understood our original instructions and if we could live up to them, no matter what happened. And this, I guess, was our final examination period for this era. Then, of course, purification day comes upon us, which up till 20 years ago we thought would happen in 1 day, one literal sun. Now we see it as a period of time. It may take 10 years or 100 years, whatever. But God's sense of time is far different than we mortals. The basic instructions were given to all of us, all of the original nations here, some 400 of them in North America alone. But each nation was given certain details or ramifications of it. And when we came together in these last days, as the prophecy said that we should and would, then we could fit these various details together and see the complete picture. All right? There's a primitive or original type of spinning wheel, which is simply a shaft with a flywheel on it. And during the wintertime, Hopis and others too, for that matter, but Hopis in particular, they would tell stories. And among these stories, you find a chain of prophecies centered on this spindle. And they said, someday, just before Purification Day, we'll see objects or machines rolling across the ground on round things like this, referring to the little flag with the spindle board, on round things like this with animals pulling it. And that's the time to get ready for the great testing and trial and tribulation, because it'll soon be upon us. Then after a while, you'll see these machines rolling across the ground with nothing pulling them. These self-propelled machines will get to going so fast and become so popular that they will build special trails for them. And these trails will cut the land all up like a cobweb. And when you use the phrase cut the land up, right away the listener knows that that's bad, evil from the destroyer, because that's one of the things we promised not to do, was to cut the land up. Somebody would invent a gourd full of ashes. Here they hold their hands to show about how big that gourd full of ashes would be. Later on I found out that the interior of an atomic bomb, the actual working parts, take away the shielding, that's just about that size. A gourd full of ashes, which if it was ever dropped from this fluid in the sky and hit the earth, it would boil the water and burn the land and leave ashes over a wide area where nothing would grow for many years. And if that ever happened, that was to be the signal for certain holy leaders to stand up and begin declaring their message to the world. The message up to that time consisted partly of these original teachings, which would be kept secret with the different clans and secret societies, each clan or secret society fulfilling its mission, and if it was fulfilled properly, the results would prove of benefit to all the other clans and secret societies of the nation, among other nations of this great land, and its influences would reach from coast to coast.
I think we should distinguish, like the Buddhists, between the way of powers and the way of wisdom. The way of powers reaches out to an almost godlike control of circumstances. But if its ambitions could ever be attained, if what we call the will or ego could be master of the world, our lives would be as tedious as making love to a plastic ball. Is that what we really want? Think it through. Would you genuinely like to be immortal, omniscient, and omnipotent, knowing all, remembering all, without rest or forgetting, forever and ever? The way of wisdom, on the other hand, is concerned not so much with power as with self-discovery. Who am I? And what is really going on? And this way leads to the understanding that my true self is in fact the vast and inconceivable space out of which this universe is produced. My body, your bodies, are points at which it becomes aware of itself, like sparks of flame coming and going on the back of the fireplace. And since variety is the spice of life, it takes a different point of view with each one of us, and then keeps on letting go of itself in what we call death, so that the process is not dulled by monotony and boredom. There is therefore no need for you to rule the world, because you're doing it already. But this you is not what you have learned to think of as you, not your ego or personality. These are no more than extremely incomplete images of yourself. Because then he knows who he is, the wise one is not ambitious for power. But then, how do we get this knowledge? How can we actually feel ourselves, not as poor little me, but as the background of the universe? Well, of course, you, as you think of yourself, can't do it at all. Because this you is only an idea. If this is understood, the rest is silence. There is nothing left to do but be clearly, vividly aware of what is happening, without time, without putting it into words, without asking questions. This is what we call meditation or contemplation. Simply being aware of truth, reality, what is, in silence, without talking about it. In this state, it will be seen that, in fact, there is neither past nor future, but just eternal. Any difference between yourself and what you are experiencing vanishes. There is just this happening. What you're breathing. Are you doing it? Or does it happen to you? Neither. There is just this going. This attitude may seem passive, but out of the conscious passivity of meditation, as out of the unconscious passivity of sleep, there comes, by reflex, enormous impact, the energy of infinite space. Listen, by just letting my breath fall out, not pushing it out, comes this.